Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. I'm Mark Gwynn, Director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and I'm pleased to be here with you today, along with our law enforcement partners, to share with you the results of a 4-day initiative in Kingsport to address human trafficking. Before I begin sharing the results, I want to thank our partner agencies on this operation for contributing to its success, as well as the General Assembly for their support in combating human trafficking. We also appreciate Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, Senator John Lundberg, and Representative Kilman Goins for taking time to visit the operation and see firsthand the work we are doing. The support makes all the difference in fighting a crime like this. We call it Operation Someone Like Me. And this is the 10th time we've run this operation in our state. We came to Kingsport with one main objective: identifying individuals searching online sex with minors. During the course of the operation, which took place 2 weeks ago, 11 men showed up seeking sex from minors. These results prove that this crime is just not a problem in the big cities, but also in all small communities across the state. These are men from our community, men we work with, and in some cases trust our children with. They include a church youth leader, a local coach, a volunteer firefighter, and an EMT. This is just not acceptable in Kingsport. The work of our agents, intelligence analysts, and law enforcement partners during this operation should send a very strong message. We will not stand for this type of crime anywhere in our state. We've said all along that this is demand-driven crime. While part of our work involves going after those trafficking women and children, it's just as important to go after the buyers. That's what we did here in Kingsport. Unfortunately, our work is far from being over. We want to make sure that there is no place in Tennessee where these criminals feel safe to victimize our state's most vulnerable. To those who think it's okay to purchase a child for sex, know this: it's wrong, it's illegal, and we're coming for you. Now, I will turn it over to Deputy Director Jason Locke for more comments.
Thank you, Director. I'm Jason Locke, the Deputy Director for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. As Director Gwynn indicated, our operation here in Kingsport focused primarily on identifying those individuals searching for sex with minors online. The first 3 days of the operation were devoted to doing just that. Undercover agents posing as juvenile girls posted ads on Backpage.com. They received hundreds of phone calls and texts from men all across Tennessee and surrounding states. Of the 11 men who showed up seeking sex with a minor, 3 of them wanted to purchase sex from a 16-year-old. 2 of them showed up specifically for a 14-year-old. The remaining 6 wanted to purchase sex from both a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. Make no mistake, all 11 men knew they were coming there for a juvenile girl. The 4th day of the operation focused on identifying potential victims of human trafficking. Undercover male agents responded to ads posted online. One woman was arrested on prostitution charges. She accepted services from the nonprofit organization Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Since we started Operation Someone Like Me in May of 2015, there have been more than 200 arrests and citations. Clearly, we still have a lot of work left to do. We will take this operation to more cities across the state where we will recover more victims and arrest more buyers. We will do everything we can to make a difference. We couldn't do this work without the support of the state's district attorneys general and our law enforcement partners. This operation was made more successful by our partnership with the Office of the 2nd District Attorney General, Barry Stavas, as well as the Kingsport Police Department. It serves as an example of what can be accomplished when we work together to protect our children. Chief.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Quillen of the Kingsport Police Department. Just a couple of comments. Most people in this region, when they hear the term human trafficking, a lot of people think of larger cities or larger metropolitan areas across the country. Unfortunately, Tennessee is not immune from these types of criminal activity, and East Tennessee is certainly no exception. This latest operation certainly highlights that fact. And it has been alluded to, these operations cannot be successful without partnerships. I'm very appreciative of the very strong partnership that we have with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and also the District Attorney's Office here in Sullivan County. I would like to thank TBI Director Mark Gwynn, Deputy Director Lott, and all the TBI agents who were involved, as well as General Stavas and his staff, along with the Kingsport Police Department investigators who all worked together to make this operation successful. I'm very appreciative of all the resources that were sent to this region to help us combat this huge problem. So thank you. I yield the floor to General Stavas.
I too would like to say I appreciate the efforts of Director Gwynn and all the TBI people that participated in this investigation, along with all the members of the Kingsport Police Department. This was a very well coordinated, very professional operation. It took many hours to make it come off as seamlessly as it did. And I credit the police department and TBI for their excellent work in this case. I also want to recognize Emily Smith and Julie Cantor from my office, who took time off from their usual prosecutorial duties to spend time out there to assist the TBI and Kingsport Police Department any way they could. And I think it's the kind of collaborative effort that our community wants to see in law enforcement, that we're working together to do something that's very serious and sadly too pervasive in our community, and work together successfully, sadly successfully, in this kind of endeavor. When it was announced today that we were going to have this press conference on human trafficking, I run into a number of people out in the community that said, that doesn't happen in Sullivan County, does it? We don't have that here. And I said, yes, we do. And you can tell from the results from this investigation that sadly it happens here. And it's you've heard me talk about opioids and the problem it is. Well, this is another huge problem, and it goes to the core of our community, because when young people are being preyed on by responsible or allegedly responsible adults in the community, it's very damaging to the community. And again, I'm very much gratitude for the folks that chose Sullivan County to have this operation. And we look forward to future work on cases like this. It's not going away, there's more. This is one example of what is going on, and also an example of the proactive efforts of law enforcement. And now I'd like to turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor McNally, who's another fellow East Tennessean from Oak Ridge.
Thank you, General. And I am from Oak Ridge, right down the road. We played Kingsport a lot in football, and I think we came out about even between the two of us. Also, I had a brother who lived here for a number of years, and I know the city well, and I just want to thank the law enforcement, the TBI, the Kingsport Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, and the the Coalition Against Human Trafficking, Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking, for the work that they do every day to prevent this type of crime. On the legislative side, we work to support their efforts, and Senator Lundberg, who's actually new to the Senate but not new to the legislature, is a great person on our Judiciary Committee, and he has served as chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. So we're here to assist law enforcement in their efforts to prevent human trafficking, and also to support what they do both morally and financially in their needs. But we very much appreciate their cooperation and working together to bring this operation to fruition. It's my pleasure to introduce Kate Trudell, who's with the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Thank you. Kate.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Kingsport Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, Randy McNally, and the Tennessee Legislature for being so supportive of this issue and for working so hard in planning and carrying out these crucial operations over the past week or so. The Community Coalition is so honored to have the opportunity to play a small role in these operations to help connect identified human trafficking survivors with the services and resources that they need. What so many people in our community don't understand, which was mentioned before, is that this is a demand-driven crime. And that demand comes from every single part of society. Every day, in every community, even here, men are looking on the internet to purchase sex from not just adults, but from minors, from children. This is why the Community Coalition exists. This is why we're raising awareness in Upper East Tennessee, educating and training primary responders, and ensuring a restorative path for survivors. We're bringing the terrible realities of human trafficking in our community to light and chipping away at the foundation that allows this horrible crime to thrive. The foundation that tells us it's acceptable to treat women and children this way. The foundation that teaches young men from an early age that sexual encounters like this are normal and that they're okay. The foundation that places the social blame more on the victims than it does on the pimps and purchasers of sex. Because when we shame these women and children for their involvement in this crime, regardless of how they arrived there, we're telling them that they should be ashamed of who they are and what they've been forced to do, as if they had a choice, as if they should carry the responsibility and the guilt of their victimization, as if the length of their time or the people they choose to associate with could possibly justify or explain or excuse what has been done to them, as if they are the ones that should do something differently, instead of the man who chose to seek out a 14 or 15-year-old girl to purchase for sex on a random Tuesday afternoon. In order to truly put an end to human trafficking in our community, we must stop blaming and criminalizing victims for the crimes committed against them. And we must start holding pimps and purchasers of sex accountable for their actions and their part in this cycle. Someone doesn't simply wake up in the morning and decide to purchase a teenager for his own sexual pleasure. This isn't one bad decision or a silly mistake type of situation. This is an epidemic. And the ease with which we write it off as a simple mistake made by a generally good guy does nothing but condone this behavior and fuel the victimization of these women and children we are so quick to shame. The criminal justice system has made great strides toward protecting and advocating victims of human trafficking in our state, but the responsibility is on each one of us to stop shaming these women and instead recognize that the demand is what drives this industry and this crime. It's time to stand up together and say, not here, not in our community, not in our city, not in our home, and not to our children. Let's lift the curtain together. It will take all of us to recognize the root of this crime, to hold our community accountable, and to care for survivors who deserve so much more than the shame they've been forced to carry for far too long. We at the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking are proud to be working alongside the TBI, all the other agencies that served in this operation, the other Tennessee Anti-Slavery Alliance organizations, the Tennessee Legislature, to hopefully seek to end modern-day slavery, not just in every community or every city, but across our state.
We'll open it.